Indeed, the mind's capacity for inquiry stretches far and wide, delving deep into even the very secrets of the universe. It has aided humanity throughout centuries to make astronomical breakthroughs in the sciences, the most lucid caricatures in the arts, and the most profound insights in various philosophies. Thought is an indispensable part of living, and is what separates us from the animals. But as it turns out, too much thought does have its fair share of negative side effects, and they may be holding you back from all your goals and ambitions. You saw it in the title. Today's video is about why overthinking holds you back, and some tips on how to tone down the overthinking. What exactly is overthinking? I'll get straight to it. As defined in the Merriam-Webster, to overthink is to think too much about something, to put too much time into thinking about or analyzing something in a way that is more harmful than helpful. Take note of the words used. In a way that is more harmful than helpful. The distinction between overthinking and regular thinking is that the former impairs you, hurts you, in one way or another. And in what ways can overthinking be harmful, you may ask? Well, you better believe it, there are several, from reduced mental performance to decision despondency. But before we talk about that, let's go over the various causes for overthinking. Number 1, too many choices. The brain can very well handle the incoming flood of decisions to make when the decisions are but many. What should I have for breakfast? What clothes should I wear today? Deciding these things would be no problem. Unless, of course, you have a king's pantry or a queen's dresser at your disposal. Having too many choices pressures you into going back and forth so that you have the best option. Number 2, too much time. Have you ever noticed how decisions seem to become vastly overwhelming the more time you're given to choose? For example, let's say it's your birthday tomorrow, and there's no global disease to worry about. If I asked you where you'd like to eat, you'd probably search for a few buffets or maybe some Japanese restaurants nearby, and you'd call it a day. However, if you were given weeks or even months, no restaurant may ever seem right as you feel the need to constantly go back and forth on the Yelp reviews. Number 3, fear of action. Do not underestimate how easy it is to fall prey to overthinking when you'd much rather not take any action. You could be waiting for the time to be right, and that as an excuse to indulge in overthinking things that wouldn't be of any help at all. Number 4, excessive control. Taking responsibility for things is well and good, but it gets harmful when you start reaching for things outside your control. When can I go back outside again? What if the world stays on lockdown for the next few years? What if a massive asteroid crashes through the Earth's atmosphere and renders humans extinct? Yeah, those kinds of thoughts. But wait, that's not so bad, you might say. What's wrong with having a little too many choices or thinking things over for some time? The problem with overthinking is that it may lead into a far less desirable mental state. It may turn into decision fatigue, and that leads to a wider plethora of psychological trifles. Several scientific studies indicate that getting decision fatigue lowers willpower and accurate decision-making capabilities. In one study, it was suggested that judges gave parole to morning cases 70% of the time, while only 10% of the time to cases in the afternoon. Deliberately flooding yourself with choices may well be the reason why you may have lower critical thinking. Not only that, but studies also suggest that having more choices significantly lowers your creativity. In the end, overthinking leaves you with lesser critical thinking to make the right choice, lesser creativity to make the best choice, and lesser willpower to make any choice at all. It's clearly something not to take lightly. So what are the steps you can take to tone down the overthinking? It seems too simple to be true, but it isn't. If more choice will only take time out of your day, then it's your best bet to deliberately ignore the extra headache. Remember, it's better if you spend minimal time on making the next best choice than waste maximal time on desperately foraging for perfection. The stress just isn't worth it. If you're not familiar with it, Parkinson's law basically states that the work expands so as to fill the time available for its completion. What does this all mean? The more time you're given to do something, the more it inflates in perceived importance. Going back to the birthday scenario. Because you gave yourself months to decide on the venue, it will now seem to be all so important that it will be like a pestering tick on your head for the months leading up to your birthday. It would be so much better to decide on the restaurant a few days, or at most 1 week, from the day of the event. If you're stuck at over-planning for something because it's too uncomfortable to actually attempt to do, then embracing the worst-case scenario is for you. Tim Ferriss describes this in the 4-Hour Workweek as fear setting. Take time to think about the worst-case scenario of your most highly anticipated goal. Let's say it's applying for a job. You walk into the interview room, then you trip on your shoelaces and land splat on the hiring manager's table, splattering coffee all over your outfit and his. The interview goes on, and he's disgusted at how lacking your resume is in substance, and how awkward you are. He tells you to leave immediately, and guards emerge from the back door to drag you out of the building. Well, guess what? You're still alive. Once you're comfortable with the worst-case scenario, you can better prepare yourself for it and take the next steps towards action instead of staying stuck in vague ruminations of failure. Let's face it, you can't control everything. And it's these uncontrollables that are just not worth worrying about. Alan Watts makes his best commentary on this when he talks about the principle of karma. If you try to take control of everything, you'll lose it. The mere frustration at not having everything in check will destabilize you. But if you surrender and let go of the painful uncertainties that bind you, you'll surprisingly gain it back. This also relates to the Stoic philosophy of cultivating selective ignorance. Am I saying that you shouldn't worry about an asteroid that could crash through to the Earth? That's exactly right. Unless you're an astrophysicist with a command of cutting-edge asteroid blasting technology, you better save yourself the trouble of worrying. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. It doesn't take any overthinking to leave a like or to hit the subscribe button, so be sure to do so. Embrace the worst-case scenario of being flooded with low-quality content, which I assure you will never happen here. We're uploading new videos every week, so be sure to hit the bell icon too.